this weekend, open up with Texas State. And overall, I am very proud of how we played. I think that's the best that we have played all season, and we have continued to grow and get better. There are still some areas there where we need to improve on. For instance, night one, we get reverse swept. We need to stay focused and continue to make adjustments going into the third, fourth, and fifth sets. And one of the biggest, just in both matches over the weekend, is pressure serving. We've got to be able to still serve aggressive and make serves in the courts when it's a tight game. I know there were multiple sets where we were within a couple points in the end, and we miss a serve. We miss back-to-back serves, and they were big points for us. So, again, overall proud of just us continuing to get better, but still needing to work through some things.
So you said
what worked Friday in those first two sets that may not have worked as well the last three? And was it just, did Texas State make some adjustments?
I think it was a little bit of both. So offensively, we hit like a 519 and a 3-something in the first two sets. So we were firing on all cylinders, from passing to decision-making to just scoring. I think we had one error offensively in the first set. And so that puts you in a position to go win. You force them to make the errors. And then I think same thing set two. We didn't make as many offensive errors. It was a few. But passed well, served really tough. I think we did a good job in those first two sets of just pushing them deep and getting them out of system. And then I think going into the remaining 3 sets of that match, we let up on serving. They made some adjustments. Their arms started to get hot. We started making errors. And Texas State fought until the end. And I said it before, they're a really good team, but and have a lot of respect for them and Sean. And we were in a position to go and beat them. So I think it speaks volumes of what we are capable of. It's just finishing.
I was kind of going to ask, because you had mentioned that you did see the growth. Would you say the biggest growth you've seen was on how they play offense, or is it more on the defensive end?
I would say the offensive end. Okay, so this was the first 2 matches that we've hit over 200 as a team, which is our goal. We want to be hitting over a 200. And we worked a lot offensively throughout the week, and I think it showed in the first 2 sets. And then as things happen and they apply more pressure and we get a little bit tired, we sometimes revert back to bad habits. And so knowing that, just staying focused on what the game plan is and executing that. So the girls were aware. I mean, we've had very mature conversations about the match, and they weren't happy. I think one of the worst ways to lose is getting reverse swept, especially when you come out and play the way you do in the first 2 sets. It makes it a little bit harder to swallow, but offensively, we've definitely improved.
On the floor, how hard is it to avoid reverting back to those bad habits?
I think, just when you've naturally done it for so long, everything's muscle memory. And so, we've got to put them again in situations in practice where it's just repetition to where they're rebuilding that muscle memory, watching a lot of film and just getting them prepared to when we do get in these situations and we're up 2 sets or we're down. We stay focused, and no matter what is going on, if they're applying pressure or they're down and we're up, that we stick to that.
On Saturday, if anyone did not watch the game and just looked at the score, it looks like, you guys were kind of taken easy down on Saturday, but all 3 of those sets were extremely close and extremely hard fought. How proud of you of your team in that moment? Even though you did go down 0-3, every match, every set, you guys were in it to the very end, and you were very competitive with it.
Yeah, I think, if you just look at the score, it's close. It's a total of 10 points. But digging deeper into the stats, we had 28 unforced errors. So it looks good just at first on paper, but then when you dive more into it, it's really tough because you eliminate even half of those. I think we had 13 missed serves, and taking those away, you're better in contention into just winning a set and applying more pressure to going 4 or 5 with them. And so one of the things that we did discuss is no matter this game changes so fast. You can be up 5 and then you're tied. You could be down 5 and then you're tied. And just knowing that is the game of volleyball, there's ebbs and flows and highs and lows, and staying aggressive and applying pressure and staying level-headed the entire time. Because I think there were instances within sets 2 and 3 where we just kind of let down, and then we would make a big point, whether it was a block or an attack, and they would make a couple unforced errors and we were back in it. I remember specifically in the third set, from a physical standpoint, it doesn't necessarily look like we looked defeated, but just demeanor on the court. I remember calling a timeout late and just basically letting into them and just saying, we look like we've given up. And then we go out and we score 5 points instantly, and then we're back in it. And so I think that's just part of the maturing process and knowing the way that the volleyball game flows. But it'll get better.
Is there sort of a confidence after this series? This is a team that was picked unanimously in Texas State to win the West. So virtually, this is the best team that you're going to see in conference, especially in your division. And you took them to the brink this weekend. Is there a confidence kind of growing with this team that, like, we've seen the best, now we know who we're working with? Does that carry over for the rest of conference?
So I think more so from us as a staff, just knowing and seeing, we've at leadership meeting yesterday talked to them, and they see and believe that we are getting better and we can compete. I think it's still just, not an easy pill to swallow when you could have won. But I think once they've had a couple days to just process and get through it and understand, Texas State is a really good team. And, one of the things that I told them is, because one of them was like, I hate losing, which I do too, but, we started out 0-0 with them, and we have the remainder of conference, and we can still go win conference. It's not over by any means. And so I think just keeping that in the forefront and knowing, hey, we go win the rest of our matches, we can go win a conference championship. So trying to keep it positive and just letting them know where we stand in that sense.
Since it looks like you've got an open weekend, what does that enable you to do? And does it give a chance for some injuries to heal up or rest up?
Right. So I think with waiting to hear from the conference about our weekend at App State, we are continuing to pray for them. I've talked to their coach quite a bit in the last few days, and just it's absolutely devastating being from a town where we've had historic floods. We're used to those kind of things, but Boone is not, and it's really bad. I don't think pictures and videos do justice of what is going on there. And I continue to pray for everybody up there. But for us, I think, moving forward, if this, does happen, it gives us time to work through things that we need to work on. It gives us a chance to get a little bit healthier. We're not completely there yet, but we're better than we were. And so I think it's going to be a blessing for us to have this week to prepare and work on us and not focus on an opponent.
Since playing the East Division teams in one way is a waste of time anyway.
Right. So correct. Those of you that don't know, our format has changed, and it's a little bit different this year. Crossover matches never counted in terms of seeding for the conference tournament. We only look at our division, but even going to the tournament now, we only take 5 teams, and we still only count our divisional matches for those seeding purposes.
Someone especially on Saturday, I noticed Jalen McNeil seems to have been everywhere around there. What do you say about her weekend?
She put up good numbers. So I got the stats for the conference. I think it was this morning. And she was in the top 10 in hitting percentage, which is great because she's typically higher on the defensive side. But we knew going into Texas State that we could score a lot from the opposite, just from their blocking standpoint. And very proud with how she played. She's been a pivotal key for us from the defensive side, but she showed up on the offensive side as well.
Lauren Hill seems to be kind of getting back in form where she was her freshman year. What do you have to say kind of about her performance over the weekend?
She did phenomenal. I think she is getting back to how she can play. We know what she is capable of. She has a very, very good IQ and high range. And so, if she does apply it, then she's unstoppable. And it showed over this weekend. I think the first nights, for the most part, she was hitting over a 400, and I mean, she's unstoppable when she wants to be. So very proud of her. She's been a great leader for us all year. So not just a vocal leader, but now people are going to be looking at her more on the court to just take care of business.